morning recess to the afternoon session of the regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners for Tuesday, January 14th, 2025. Our next item on our agenda is a Public Works item. It's the Public Works item 9A, the public hearing order for a vacation of a portion of Fifth Street. And Michael Bloom, our county surveyor, is here, along with Dan Hurley, our Public Works director. And I'm the dapper gentleman in the blue suit. I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Trevor Ross, Deputy County Surveyor.
Trevor, all right, welcome. All right, do I give the floor to you, Michael, or to?
I'll start off.
Okay, sounds good. Take it away, please.
Thank you, Commissioners and Chair Lovell. We are here today to hold a public hearing to consider the petitioner's request to vacate a segment of Fifth Street as dedicated for public use in 1892 on a subdivision named Fisk's Addition to Glenada. This is located south of Florence. During our referral process seeking comment regarding this request, we received an objection to this action, which has necessitated this public hearing. The Surveyor's Office has complied with all legal notice requirements pursuant to ORS Chapter 368, which included posting notice of this public hearing along the road, several sites along the road, and by certified mail. So the segment of Fifth Street proposed to be vacated today is 60 feet in width. It is 142 feet in length. The right-of-way has never been improved for vehicular access and is abutted on the north and the south by two properties owned by the petitioners, who I will hereinafter refer to as the Nobles. We've brought up a map over here. So the area to be vacated is highlighted in red. And the two properties to the north and the south, highlighted in blue, are the Noble property. The Noble state the reason to vacate Fifth Street is due to the road being unimproved. It's never been built. It's not a road. It's just right-of-way. There is no evidence of utilities in the area to be vacated, but the Nobles have agreed to retain an easement for any unknown utilities if they do exist. It should be noted that there were no objections or requests for retainment of easements from utility companies during our referral process. The property owner to the east and the south of the Noble property is owned by Julia Hess, and this would be the properties outlined in yellow. Julia has objected to this vacation request. Ms. Hess states that she has submitted paperwork to the county to initiate a development that she refers to as the Sunbeam Forest Community. The Sunbeam Forest Community would consist of 24 properties with small log cabin homes. Ms. Hess states the vacation of Fifth Street as proposed will greatly impact her development and eliminate her only access to the west side of her property. A rough conceptual layout of Sunbeam Forest Community was included in the agenda material we provided you on Exhibit E. I spoke with Jared Bowder, who works with land management planning, who responded to our referral on land management's behalf. Jared has indicated that as of this morning, there are no pending or issued land use applications for the redevelopment of the Hess properties. Jared did indicate that land management has received a property line adjustment application, though the application is currently on hold awaiting additional information from the applicant. Jared further states the property line adjustment application does not approve new uses or development such as partitions, subdivisions, tiny house, cabin villages, or campgrounds. Any such uses would be subject to the provisions of the rural residential zone found in Lane Code Chapter 16, as well as the applicable provisions to Lane Code Chapters 13 and 14. Though a land use application has not been submitted to LMD as of this date, the conceptual layout for Sunbeam Forest Community indicates that Ms. Hess intends to submit a future land use application for the development, which may potentially include the use of the Fisk Street right-of-way for access. Though Lane County Planning, Transportation Planning, and Roads all indicated in their responses to our referral that there are no county operational needs for this section of Fifth Street, Those statements were made without the knowledge of the potential future development of the Hess property. Public roads are created for legal access and the best use for public purposes. Therefore, staff at this time formally recommends denial of the petitioner's request to vacate Fifth Street until such a time a decision has been rendered on a future land use application for the Sunbeam Forest community. Our staff recommendation is in line with Public Works Director Dan Hurley's recommendation to also deny this request, which he has cited in the report of the Public Works Director attached as Exhibit B to the order. Dan, would you like to?
Let me stop you right there just for a second. Michael, my apologies. I thought you were going to introduce your staff, but you were so eloquent on. I want to officially open the public hearing for order number 25011408 in the matter of the vacation of the portion of Fifth Street Public Road located in section 35, Township 18 South, Range 12, west of the Willamette Meridian in Lane County, Oregon, with a public hearing 18-12-35-33. I want to explain this is a public hearing held in pursuant to ORS 368.346 to allow for public testimony prior to the Board of Commissioners' action of approving or denying the petitioner's request to vacate the portion of Fifth Street. The board is being asked to approve or deny the petitioner's request to vacate a portion of the unconstructed public right-of-way. Now is the time for us to call for any disclosures from our board members for any ex parte contacts and, in addition, abstentions due to conflicts of interest for ex parte contacts or biases. And Mr. Mokreisky, if you would assist me in a roll call on that actually I could do that, I'm sorry. We'll ask our board members for any conflicts or biases. Commissioner Buck, any conflicts or biases on this matter?
None.
Thank you. Commissioner Trieger?
None.
Commissioner Farr?
I have none.
Vice Chair?
None.
And I have none. Thank you very much. And now we officially open the public hearing. We thank you for your introductory comments and opinions. And now, Mr. Hurley, if you would, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Board of Commissioners. So I am recommending denying this proposed vacation. I would only recommend approval if there would be no potential harm to other property owners or the public in general. This petition would only benefit one property owner and has the potential to cause harm, in my opinion, for the other property owners in this area. Even without the filed objection for the property in yellow, there are also the properties on the west side of that property, the smaller properties, that will need access. Currently, Market Street and that portion of Fisk Street are both unimproved. So there will need to be access constructed on one of those two streets. Fisk is the shorter route, and by the topography, probably the easier route to construct in the future. So recommending that we keep that for public benefit. I think there's also benefit in just having a clear grid system for public access and for emergency vehicles. So again, there's not a public benefit for this, and I would recommend denial.
Excellent. Any other report, information by staff?
That concludes my report.
All right, this is a time for a public testimony is appropriate. We have one person signed up to give public testimony, Julia Hess. If you'd make your way to the microphone, you are the only person for public testimony. So as board chair, we can determine how much time you have, and you can take as much time as you need.
Thank you for letting me speak.
Get real close to the microphone. There you go. We can hear you. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me speak. I do own the property in yellow, and I do want to develop the property. I have started the development. I did turn in a request to have it developed. It is delayed due to this. They did need more information, which I told them I would provide, and I explained the situation of this as a delay. And I told them once this is resolved, I would turn in more the proof that they wanted after this was resolved, because I told them I wasn't sure if I was even going to be able to have access to continue providing future access if it was going to be approved. So that's on hold, being able to put a developed road through there. so that it has been turned in. And then for me to be able to access Fisk and then down through Market is my plan, is what I proposed, to be able to gain access to the western, southern part of the property, because that's the only way that I can get down there right now. So that's why I'm here to try to do that. And I do agree with the gentleman here that the people who do own that other property would, because they are developing western areas, and I don't know who owns that, but they would need to be able to gain access, because Market ends way up closer to Glenada, which isn't even on here, at someone's garage door. So they wouldn't be able to get that way. So everything's on hold for me pending what this resolves.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for your public testimony. Is there any additional comments or rebuttal from staff? Okay, hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And the discussion now is from the board. Any questions or comments from the board to our staff or to anyone else? Commissioner Farr.
Thank you. I do have a question regarding zoning for the proposed subdivision. Is zoning correct for the proposal?
I have not looked into that.
Okay,
I have not either.
okay. So that is pending zoning approval also.
Correct.
All right. And the town of Glenada, I can talk about that. It's pretty cool, the history, but go ahead. Thank you.
Commissioner Trigger.
Thank you. Just process-wise, if I'm understanding, if we approve the vacation, then that happens and there's no further opportunity than explore zoning or future applications for these other property owners. Is that right? I mean, vacation is permanent. However, a denial of the vacation doesn't preclude someone coming back and seeking vacation at a future date. Is that true? Thank you.
Commissioner Buck, your hand's up.
Thank you, Chair. I could not fully hear Commissioner Farr's the answer to his question and his reply. Can somebody repeat that for me?
Commissioner, we have not looked into the zoning, and I think it would be depending on what's proposed for this site, and we haven't received a proposal yet to review, is my understanding.
Were you able to catch that, Commissioner Buck?
Yes, thank you. And I had one additional question. It looks like this is the case, but I just want to verify. So on the map that we see, there's a blue portion that's the petitioners on the north side and a little blue portion on the south side. And the request is, well, I just want to verify that south side, although it has blue on the sides, there's yellow on the bottom. So is the petitioner own that little piece of land also?
Yes, Commissioner, that's correct.
Okay. But has never owned the portion in red, is that correct?
The red is currently the right-of-way for Fifth Street.
Okay, and that is currently owned by the county?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's all the questions I have, thank you.
Great. Anyone else? All right, well, if no one else has any more comments or any more comments from staff, it's time for us to have an action item on this particular matter. I'm looking for a motion.
Chair, I have a motion.
Go ahead.
I move to deny order 25011408 to vacate a portion of Fisk Street, a public road located in section 35, township 18 south, range 12 west of the Willamette Meridian in Lane County, Oregon.
There's a second.
Clarification to the maker of the motion. You're saying to deny the order, but if we approve the order, we're denying the vacation. If we deny the order, we're not denying the vacation.
Correct.
So you want to approve the order, because the order as written is to deny the vacation?
Yep.
So-
Yes, I'll start over. Amendment.
Amendment.
I'm
Two, go ahead.
move to approve order 25011408, the denial to vacate a portion of Fisk Street, a public road located in section 35, township 18 south, range 12 west of the Willamette Meridian in Lane County, Oregon.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So we have a motion to approve the order to deny by Vice Chair Senega and a second by Commissioner Buck. Is there any discussion to the motion? Yes, Commissioner Farr.
Thank you. There's a question as a part of the discussion. As we look at the piece of property, the pieces of property up there, the multicolored, the red is currently owned by the county, but I would suspect it's being used by the owner of the blue outline property. They have,
Yeah, I want to be careful when we say owned by the.
Yeah, it's owned by the
Lane
property.
County. Lane County has jurisdiction of the red.
right,
The road is an easement.
the road's an easement.
Yeah, so if it was to be vacated, ownership would go to both sides of the road to center lines, to the property owners. So the petitioner would gain full control of that strip of land.
And currently, they de facto have control, like hundreds of other properties in Lane County. There might be a road there someday, there might not be a road there someday, but if you own property on both sides, you drive your tractor back and forth, whatever, you walk back and forth, you maybe even have it fenced.
Yeah,
And you've used it in perpetuity. I mean, historically, you've used that piece of property. So until that property is improved by the county, remains in its current use. If it is improved by the county, that little tiny section of property owned by the blue owner becomes really unusable for any purpose at all, other than maybe parking a motorcycle.
yeah, perhaps.
Well, to me, that's a consideration, is you have a piece of property owned by one property owner, and really is, like I said, de facto, Lane County has the rights to it. May or may not ever exercise those rights, just like hundreds and hundreds of other pieces of property very similar. But if it is denied today, it does not preclude future consideration of vacation.
That is correct.
And until a subdivision is approved, we could presume it's going to remain in its existent use, with the question in the owner's mind of someday, will I have to take down my pump shed or whatever it may be on there? Okay, well, we have to bear all that in mind when we deny this application. Okay, thanks.
Any other comments to the motion? All right, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in,
Excuse me, Chair.
sorry, go ahead.
Commissioner Buck has her hand raised.
Oh, sorry, I can't see that. It's kind of small. My glasses aren't working that well today. I'm sorry, Commissioner Buck, go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to explain, well, why I seconded and will approve the motion. If somebody's got an attempt to develop the property adjacent to it, I want to be able to give that person the opportunity to do so. If for some reason in the future that development falls through or is just not going to go anywhere, I would certainly reconsider the opportunity to vacate. But until that opportunity has really went through the motions to try to develop, at this point, I will support the motion. Thank you, Chair.
Great, thank you for that clarification. Commissioner Trigger.
Thank you. And I just want to ask staff, the person petitioning for the vacation had the opportunity to provide testimony today, either in person or virtually, and opted not to or was unavailable. Is that right?
Yes, Commissioner, we found out late yesterday afternoon that the petitioner would not be here to testify. We did give them the option to testify remotely, and we were told that he was not able to do that as well. And then we did receive an email from the petitioner early this morning. Well, actually, it was forwarded by county staff of an email I believe was more than likely sent to you commissioners. We received it in our inboxes like at 8 o'clock this morning. So staff really didn't even get a chance to, take any of that testimony into consideration.
Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Farr.
I'm going to vote against the motion. I may be the only one doing so. And the reason is I'm looking at that piece of property, and the potential subdivision really has no need of that little piece of property for access or any other reason. And it does, in effect, if that were developed by the county to support the subdivision, I guess as an access to Market Street, which Market Street doesn't even come close to that in today. I mean, you'd have to develop Market Street as well. It shows it on the map, but on the satellite view, there's no Market Street there. So all of that would have to be developed. And really, I don't see it providing any benefit to the development. And it does provide an incredible hindrance to the person who owns that piece of property. If that piece of property is divided by a county road, that property is good for nothing at all, probably ever again. So that's my reason for voting no on this, for voting in favor of the vacation, potential action on the vacation. And wherever this vote goes today, I'd encourage continuation of seeking vacation of that piece of property.
I've got a few questions and comments, if you don't mind. I've got, obviously, looking at that from a developer's perspective, I'm wondering about costs going forward. I think, Mr. Hurley, you said that this would be if it was left unvacated, it would be cheaper to access that particular subdivision if it was approved in the future. But is subdivision of 24 lots, is that something that's going to require by code and by county statute to have 2 access points in and out of there? And does it still, with or without that vacation, is it possible to develop that with the necessary access points from, I believe it's that one little road that's just to the right of the Fisk Street ST, there's a road going down there. Is that just a driveway to those properties, or is that an accessible road that would be considered in that 24-lot cottage development?
I can't speak, maybe you can, to that sliver. Typically, when there's a development, we try to, if it's under one contiguous ownership, we limit access to one. We limit access to one entry point when it's under contiguous ownership. If the property owner develops it and sells off pieces of it, then we would be open to other access points. But yes, it was my opinion that we haven't done cost estimating on this, but given the length and topography, that it would be cheaper to access off of Fisk.
And I would assume, and obviously we don't know this because we haven't got a plat or a submittal for what they're continuing, a 4,500 minimum square foot lot, that property is probably not big enough for 24 of those to be independently sold and partitioned off, I would assume. I'm not sure if that's something we can talk about here, so forgive me if I'm overstepping my bounds here a little bit.
Myself, I'm not a planner, so it's not in my forte.
Yeah, thank you.
But we did receive a conceptual type of a layout, how accurate that is and whether it would meet current county code, I don't know.
Okay, great, thank you. To my colleagues, I'm just more inclined to keep some options opened. I would support the approval to deny, just for sake that there's nothing really hard written down for this 24 development that's proposed. And if there's some more clarity to what the issues are at hand and we get more clarity, I think we can move forward with a little bit better purview than what I would consider maybe a knee-jerk reaction at this point. So I would support to approve the denial at this point. Yes, go ahead.
So, and then, because if I understand Ms. Hess correct, it's cheaper to come down, and this is just, I'm assuming at what she was saying, come down Maple Street to Fisk and then head west and then south to get to her property. So the property access is actually going to be off Market Street then? Is that what we're gathering, Trevor, Mr. Ross? Well, I was asking Mr. Ross.
Yeah, sorry, we can't have you come back to the podium just as of yet, I'm sorry.
You know that?
I mean, that is the basis of her proposal, wanting to deny, in opposition of it. Her property is surrounded by legal access. It's just undeveloped and unimproved. There's the small sliver that's just south of the proposed vacation is an alley, which has legal access. It's legal public access.
Okay.
So there are alternatives. It's just that the removal of Fisk is warranted to be prohibitive to the more cost effective development, I think, is what is being asserted.
Just one more clarifying question, if I may, it's concerning the motion. That orphaned little blue lot that Commissioner Farr is speaking of, do we have any idea what the dimensions of that are?
Well, it's 146 feet in length, and off the top of my head, I don't know what the width is, but I do know that Fifth Street is a 60-foot right-of-way width. So I'd say that that lot is probably 40 or 50 feet in width.
We'll say 45, 6,570 square feet, which is incredibly enough time and space for a legal lot definition of that. Okay. All right, good. Thank you very much. That's helpful. Well, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve order number 25011408 to deny the vacation of a portion of Fifth Street, a public road located in Section 35, Township 18 South, Range 12 West of the Willamette Meridian in Lane County, Oregon. If there's no other discussion of the motion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify with an aye.
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 All those opposed?
No.
Motion passes 4-1. And gentlemen, we thank you so much for your time and your efforts and your expertise on this matter. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Our next item is another Public Works item. It's a first reading and setting a second reading and public hearing for ordinance 2501 in the matter of amending Lane Code 16.290 to incorporate an allowance for rental recreational vehicles in the Rural Residential Code as allowed by Senate Bill 1013 and ORS 215.490 and adopting a savings and severability clause, file number 509-PA 24-05600. And Rachel Surslev, our county planner senior, is at the desk. Take it away, Rachel.
Thank you, Chair Lovell. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Again, for the record, this is Rachel Surslev, senior planner and staff planner for these code amendments to Lane Code Chapter 16-290, which is the Rural Residential Zoning Code. And the purpose of these amendments are to adopt amendments to allow recreational vehicles as rental dwellings in the zone. This is a first reading of Ordinance 2501, also identified as Land Management Division File Number 509, PA 24-05600. And this is a code amendment project initiated by the Land Management Division to amend the land use code regulating development in the rural residential zone. These amendments were prompted by the passing of Senate Bill 1013 in 2023, which became effective in 2024, which allows RVs to be occupied as dwellings in the rural residential zone. On November 19th, 2024, a public hearing with the Lane County Planning Commission was held regarding this project. The commission closed the hearing and deliberated that night on the amendments. And upon deliberating on those amendments, the commission motioned forward a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners to adopt the proposed amendments as written. Therefore, the item before you today is a first reading and a request that the board set a second reading and a public hearing for January 28th, 2025, time certain at 11 a.m. And at that time, staff will provide a more comprehensive staff report on the amendments. And there will be an opportunity for public comment. That's it for my staff report today. Happy to take any questions that might arise.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Rachel Surslev. Appreciate that. Any questions or comments from the board?
Tons of them, but not today.
This is a first reading, so obviously we'll get more information on the second reading. So if there's no comments or questions from Ms. Surslev, do I have a motion on the floor?
Chair, motion, I move to approve the first reading of ordinance number 2501 and to set the second reading and public hearing for January 28th, 2025 at 11 a.m. date and time certain.
Do I have a second?
Okay, I'll second.
We have a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 2501 and set a second reading and public hearing for January 28th, 2025 at 11 a.m. time certain, and a second by Commissioner Farr. Is there any discussion to the motion? Yes, Commissioner Buck.
Sorry, just have a question here. I'm looking at the materials and option one was move to approve the second reading and adopt the ordinance as presented. But, so am I missing something? The materials are just different than the motion showing this is a first reading rather than a second reading.
Comments, Ms. Surslev?
Yeah, I can address
Yeah,
that.
address that, please.
So on the first page of the agenda cover memo, there are motions for January 14th, which is today, and then there are motions for January 28th for the public hearing. So today, the recommended motion is to move to approve the first reading, which just happened. And then I think the options that Commissioner Buck is looking at are for the 28th.
Good, thank you for clarity. Commissioner Buck, are you clear on that?
Thank you.
Good,
Yeah, no, that clarifies it. Thank you so much.
super, thank you. So, seeing no further discussion to the motion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, approved by an aye?
Aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0 to approve the first reading of ordinance 2501 and to set a second reading and public hearing for January 28th, 2025 at 11 a.m. time and date certain. Thank you, Ms. Surslev, and quickly get up and get back down. You have another item in front of you. It's item 9C in Public Works is the report from the 2024 Lane County Planning Commission Annual Report. And just for the public's information, this is a volunteer advisory committee who report to the board on land use matters, and we want to thank you for that. And it is, forgive me for not having your name pronunciation right, it is...
Jeff Choate. Do I need to press this?
Yeah, no, you just need to get close, Jeff.
Okay,
Yeah.
Jeff Choate.
Yeah, we were banking if the E was silent, so thank you very much for clarifying that, Jeff. Rachel, go ahead, take it away.
Yes, thank you, Chair Lovall, and again, good afternoon, Commissioners. This is Rachel Surslev, Senior Planner, and I have with me today Commissioner Jeffrey Choate, and he was the Chair for the Planning Commission in 2024, and he's here with me today to help present the annual report. So a bit of background, the Lane County Planning Commission serves as a volunteer advisory committee who is appointed by the board and advises the board on land use matters. In addition, the commission functions as the Citizen Involvement Advisory Committee for Lane County pursuant to ORS Chapter 197 in all aspects of comprehensive planning. Pursuant to the Planning Commission bylaws, a report must be provided to the board on an annual basis, documenting specific activities that the Planning Commission over the previous year participated in, and that is the purpose of us being here today. So in summary of the report, I'll give a brief overview of the composition of the Planning Commission and attendance over the year, and then Commissioner Choate will give a summary of the 2024 accomplishments for the Planning Commission. In 2024, all 9 seats of the Planning Commission were filled for majority of the year. The Planning Commission met 12 times over the year, and there was a strong record of attendance amongst the Planning Commissioners. 3 vacancies were available in 2024 due to the resignation of Michelle Hanks on August 6, 2024, and due to term expirations of Stephen Dignam and Elijah Kaczynski on September 30th, 2024. And those vacancies were filled by Megan Dompe and Jack Tibbetts, who were appointed by the board on September 17th, and filled by Kim Arscott, who was appointed on October 22nd, 2024. And now I'll turn it over to Commissioner Choate to discuss some of the Planning Commission's accomplishments in 2024.
Thank you, Rachel. It's an honor to be here to present the highlights from our 2024 Planning Commission. We held 6 public hearings, one of which was a joint public hearing with the City of Springfield Planning Commission. In that joint hearing, the commissioners recommended approval of the Willamette Lane Park and Recreation District's 2023 comprehensive plan, which was subsequently passed by the Board of Commissioners in July of 2024. We held 2 public hearings and deliberations on a major plan amendment to consider the proposed Hazeldale Quarry site in Oak Ridge, and ultimately recommended the denial to the Board of Commissioners for that application. There was significant public turnout at those hearings, and my understanding is that's currently scheduled for consideration by the board on the 28th of January. We held 2 public hearings for amendments to the Lane County Rural Comprehensive Plan and Lane Code to implement a complete community plan for Blue River, and ultimately recommended approval to the Board of Commissioners, who subsequently adopted that ordinance. And finally, we held a public hearing for amendments to lane code and allow rental recreational vehicles in rural residential areas and recommended approval of the amendments to the Board of Commissioners. And I just heard that you will hear more about that on the 28th. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Choate, and thank you to commissioners for the time today. And I would just like to take a moment to thank the planning commissioners for their technical expertise and their public service and dedication to serving on the planning commission. And that's it for today. Thank you.
Indeed, great. Commissioner Choate, thank you for your service. Well done, well done. Any comments or questions from the board? Oh, Commissioner Buck. That hand is like, comes right into a shelf that's the same color. I'm so sorry, I've been having a hard time seeing that today.
Thank you, Chair. I too want to appreciate all the members of the Planning Commission. I know Commissioner Senega and I have interviewed a lot in the last year for various vacancies. I think we've been able to get some wonderful people in there who are really contributing. The Planning Commission is often a larger workload than many of our other boards. And so I want to recognize that they're doing a lot of work and studying in advance of their recommendations to our board. And Jeff, thank you for serving. And please give my thanks to the rest of the group for volunteering a significant portion of your personal time. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Vice Chair.
Yes, as Commissioner Buck mentioned, we have had a great number of people apply for the Planning Commission, and it's always impressive because it is it's a heavy workload, and you go to those meetings, and you know the Blue River particularly, it was a busy one that I was at. They ran great. Everybody's fully vested, and it's fun to watch. So appreciate all the hard work.
Commissioner Farr.
I have a ton of questions for Jeff Choate, but none of them for this meeting, Jeff, so.
Fair enough.
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Trigger.
I'll just add my appreciation to you and to other members of the Planning Commission over the last year, even though there's been some turnover. And if I recall, you're a soil analyst, a soil scientist?
I do have a background in soil science, yes.
And I think that's such an interesting and different perspective than we've ever had before on our Planning Commission. And so I just appreciate you bringing that particular expertise. I think that's what I really appreciate about all of our boards and commissions, but particularly our Planning Commission, since the work is so in the weeds and detailed, is that when we get a breadth and a range of expertise and coupled with what our professional staff offers there, which is not to be underestimated, it's significant. The recommendations you bring us really carry a lot of weight because it's not a monolithic group in terms of background and perspective. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Great, yeah, having that soils background, I would imagine helped out in the Blue River escapade, because that was some creative thinking going on there. So well done if you had any part of that in the committee. So grateful for all those volunteers as well. That's an unpaid, unthanked, behind-the-scenes jobs, and we can't do our work as a board and as a county without the work that you public people do and without your leadership. So Jeff, again, thank you very much for your leadership. Yes, Commissioner Farr, you have more questions for Jeff?
Just a historical fact, and back in 1993, I was sitting out there with a red vest on when a whole bunch of Jerry's employees came to talk to the Board of County Commissioners at the time, and the Lane County Planning Commission was working on is an urban growth boundary expansion to include a tiny little portion outside of the Beltline Road Ring, which was at the time it was Northwest Lumber, but in order to improve that particular piece of property, the Planning Commission and Lane County and the City of Eugene had to approve for Jerry's and all those people in the red vest that were sitting out there, only one of which spoke, and the approval went through. So the Planning Commission is good work. Sometimes it's monumental work, and I guess you and I both say better head for Jerry's, right?
I'll second that.
All right, anything else? If not, we are so thankful for your service and your work, and we look forward to next year's report and continuing growth for what we're going to build in Lane County. Well done. Thank you, Mr. Oslev, for your report. Appreciate it very much. Have a great day. All All right, Commissioner colleagues, it's down to our biz, Commissioner's biz. Are you ready to wring your hands on some announcements? Anybody have any announcements for us? Oh, Commissioner Trigger.
Thank you. Not so much an announcement as just a congratulations. This is tis the season. We, some of us just took the oath of office, and many of our colleagues in cities around Lane County and in the state legislature did theirs yesterday, in particular, the state legislature, and it was the state of the city for the city of Eugene, and I was able to attend, and it was a lovely event and great to watch some folks take the oath not for the first time and some for the first time, and to hear our new mayor's vision for the largest city in Lane County. Encourage anyone who wasn't able to attend to go back and watch the recording of her address. It was really quite a beautiful and inspiring vision that she laid out, and it was great to see so many people turn out for that. So just a note of congrats to all the elected officials who were sworn in this month. Thank you, Chair.
Awesome, thank you. Yes, Commissioner Farr.
I'll just mention two things. One is regarding a meeting that happens on the second Thursday every month over at the Bascom Tyson Room. It's the 15th night partners meeting, which I attend on a regular basis. And there are usually 40 to 45, sometimes 50 people in that room, including a number of Lane County employees that work on youth issues. It's an opportunity for all of the youth agencies in the county and a little bit beyond, and also for Lane County in particular, to talk about how do we coordinate our efforts to make certain that the youth who in particular need, who are vulnerable and lacking services, get the services that they need. And that group has been particularly instrumental in moving things forward on a regular basis. Megan Schultz is the coordinator, and it's something that I really enjoy, listening to Hosea, and I mean the list goes on and on and on of all of the groups that make a short presentation. And Lane County staff, including the YDP staff, typically are involved, and it really is a coordinated effort, the kind of coordinated effort that rarely we see in local government. So well done to Megan and to everybody who attends that. And then the second is that we do have on Thursday the Deflection Summit, Mr. Mokrowski, that has been planned, and I'm looking forward to seeing the results and the discussion that happens on Thursday at the Deflection Summit, which has replaced, for this month at least, the Mental Health Summit.
Good. Commissioner Trigger, you have one more thing.
Thank you. Yes, I forgot to mention, we are down next week because of the Monday Martin Luther King Day holiday. And so I wanted to make sure anybody watching knows this, as for many, many years has been the tradition, that our local Springfield Eugene NAACP branch organizes a march that starts in front of the big X's and O's by Autzen Stadium with a little bit of a rally and talk, and then it's a march along MLK over the DeFazio Bridge down and around, and ends at the Shed Institute at High and Broadway. And there's a community program and celebration at the Shed that will start around 11:30 or so, depending when all the marchers get in and get seated. So just want to invite anyone in the community who wants to march and or come to the celebration at the Shed. I've attended that many, many years, and it's always a really wonderful opportunity for some solidarity and community connection to celebrate the incredible legacy of the work of Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King. Thank you, Chair.
Indeed. Amen. I'd just like to add to yesterday and all the celebrations of new people swearing in and being given the oath of office. I was able to attend the State of the State with Governor Kotek and all the new swear-ins that they had at the legislature up there at the state capitol. It was incredible to see a lot of new enthusiasm, and for the 36 chairs of each county was invited to the home of Governor Kotek and First Lady Amy, and that was a really great event to sit and talk and mingle about with some folks that you would normally not mingle about. And I was really enthused and excited about how incoming Treasurer Steiner was so excited about her staff and just gloated over all of the things that just impacted her that involved numbers and accounting, and I was stunned and awed that people get excited about such things. And so it's good to see that there's people that are in our elected offices at the state level that are there to do some really important work and to do some exciting work that excites them and is in their gift set in their wheelhouse. So that was really exciting to have. And then the governor and I got about 7 minutes together alone to talk about housing and about mental health, which is very dear to Lane County's hearts. And she's on the same page, and I assured her that Lane County and all the Board of County Commissioners were 100% behind her in those efforts, and our community was behind those efforts. And so I just wanted to let the community know that your governor and your Board of County Commissioners are working hard, especially on those two issues and all the other issues that we work on as well. So again, any other announcements any other comments before we move on? All right, let's move on to future board assignments. Any future board assignments coming from today's meeting or before? Commissioner Fart.
Thank you. Ms. Markowitz, you have what really is a couple of different assignments. The first one is, I think, fairly simple. It's a report on the state bias and hate statutes. And what are the laws in Oregon regarding bias and hate? And I believe that Ms. Costas would be the appropriate person, but I'll leave that to staff to coordinate that particular report. And we all kind of nodded our heads toward that this morning. The second is a little bit more vague in how it's going to be responded to, Ms. Mokreisky, and that is a continuation of our efforts to outline what we are doing in Lane County regarding DEI, and I'll call it DEI issues, particularly regarding sanctuary and safety of residents in Lane County, and how that apply. Once again, what we are doing and what can we do to strengthen Lane County's position as a sanctuary county. I'll be interested to hear what I said.
No, that was good. Very clear, I think. Thank you.
I got something typed. Go ahead, Mr. Markowski.
Do you want to, I just want to make sure we've had.
Yeah, we've had
Both of those.
Head nods on the first one, the report on the state of bias and hate statutes and laws regarding these, probably a DOJ or some other legal interpretation person. We see 5 head nods, thank you. And then the second one, Commissioner Farr said, was as I heard it, was a continuation of efforts to outline what we are doing with DEI issues regarding sanctuary to our people and ways to strengthen these ways in Lane County.
Great job, Mr. Chair. You're hired to do, to review assignments.
The only thing I would add to that, and this is kind of, I'll do a graphic on this, that we look at our watch and not our calendar as to when to schedule those.
Yeah. Well, and I'll just say, so thank you. I think those are both really clear, and it sounds like there's agreement to have discussions on both of them. And I think this will be a good opportunity when we come back in February with a list of work sessions and dates that we have available to start thinking about when we can do those. My sense is that the board would like to have these conversations, sooner rather than later, probably still here in the first quarter of this calendar year. So we'll do the best that we can to schedule those as soon as possible.
We hold high confidence. Any other comments? Anything that we need, comments or decisions or things for the board of the order of the board or board of the order? Order. Okay, awesome. Seeing none. Tomorrow, remember, we have a meeting with our annual budget meeting kickoff in Harris Hall tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. This regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. Yes, sorry?
Actually, just a clarification. I want, on my request.
Yes.
And I think you probably took note of this, Mr. Mokreisky, that it's regarding, it includes LGBTYQIA2S+. Very good. Okay, thank you.
Okay, good deal. Having said what I said before, the regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners is now adjourned.